August, where we get you caught up in the week's biggest stories, the least depressing way possible. Like us on Facebook. Rock out with us to, that is Marcus Bennett rocking out right there at the beginning of this show. Rocking out. That is my cousin, actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
I met him.
Yeah, this kid can rock. All right, let's, nice. We got sirens going on.
Trouble on the bridge.
Oh, my goodness. We got sirens. We got all sorts of stuff going on here.
That's some ringtone.
I was like, that's some Star Trek. I was like, oh my God, we're in Syria.
I'm so nerdy, ain't I? I'm nerdy. I'm a Star Trekker. I shut it off. It's off. It's off.
No, that's good timing on your part. That's good timing. I am
That's why
Ken
I don't
August.
go to movies with him.
Yeah, that's one reason,
But-
yes. He's blind is another reason. You can watch us live every Wednesday, 10 o'clock Eastern Time at thejointstudios.com and on Twitter at JointStudiosLA or at Error FM. Get every episode free by subscribing to the Wrap Up with Ken August at the iTunes Store or find us on SoundCloud. I am your host, Ken August. I am joined by the host of Bad Advice, Drew Marks. How are you, buddy?
That is me. I am well.
Nice. Very to the point. That is very nice.
I wrote that earlier.
Spent 2 days. He spent 2 days on that. Brandon in the booth. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic.
And I was gonna say we have two very funny men here for the first time. Turns out we have one very funny man, and then somebody else who may eventually show up.
I think it's half with my height. Half.
The very funny comedian
You
Tony
make up
Milazzo.
for it with the funny part, though.
Yeah, the blind half comic. I'm here.
Tony Milazzo, welcome, buddy.
Thank you. How you guys doing?
We're good. You promised me a Dwayne Perkins, and I see no Dwayne Perkins.
He's right behind me. We were at Starbucks. He was leaving. I guess maybe took longer to get his coffee, and he's right behind me.
He knows how time works, right? No, not so mumuch.
He's black. He knows. He just doesn't deal with it well.
So
Yeah,
no, you're saying no,
No,
he doesn't
he doesn't.
know how it works.
He was late last week too.
Was he really?
He's
Yeah,
funny,
half
but
hour.
not timely.
Okay. Note to self: tell my next black comedian that the show starts 45 minutes earlier.
I think so.
Okay.
And Tuesday.
Well done.
24 hours ahead of him.
This episode of the Wrap Up with Ken August is brought to you by Speedweed. Get it there in a hurry by calling 888-860-8472. Speedweed.
We want it now.
What the hell are you waiting for? Drew, what do you get when you call Speedweed?
When you call Speedweed, you get $30 of free edibles with every single order. That's right, $30 worth.
You know what? With that kind of energy, nobody's going to believe you use Speedweed.
Here's the thing. It's $30 worth of free edibles, but it's usually one giant cookie. I don't really know that that's
so what
true.
happens? You order the smoke, and then you get edibles for your munchies, and then you
Yeah,
got
it's a
to be
big
higher
cycle.
than a kite at that point.
Yeah, and not only that, then you're high and you're hungry, so you keep ordering.
You see, that's the sort of like, that's why it's a gateway drug, because it's not so much
a gateway
that
to
you
eating?
get high. It's just, yes, it's a gateway drug to obesity is what that is.
Also, Merchant Connection, secure and reliable billing solutions for all your business needs. Coming up later in the show, after the judge gave him 35 years in prison for revealing U.S. secrets, why is Bradley Manning's sentence being served by some chick named Chelsea? Plus, a German newspaper reported that the U.S. has also been spying on the UN headquarters in New York. The U.S. knew this report was going to come out, however, because they're spying on the Germans, too. And today is the 50th anniversary of Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. I wonder if in his dream, Texas continued to be racist for another half a century. But first, it looks like there might be some good news coming up in the job market if you're a construction worker in Syria. Listen to this from Newsy.
Secretary of State John Kerry said Monday the use of chemical weapons in Syria is undeniable, calling the deployment of such weapons a moral obscenity, and alluded to a response against
indiscriminate use of weapons that the civilized world long ago decided must never be used at all, a conviction shared even by countries that agree on little else.
The Washington Post's Max Fisher wrote it was from the first paragraph to the 15th a war speech. Regardless of whether an attack is imminent, the pieces are in place. CNN reports missile strikes are the most likely action. The BBC adds,
US-guided missile destroyers are now positioned in the eastern Mediterranean. They reportedly have over 400 Tomahawk cruise missiles on board.
but for the U.S. to proceed with a military response, it needs support from the international community. The Telegraph says Britain's Royal Navy is ready to launch such a strike alongside the U.S. According to Sky News, UN chemical weapons experts found valuable evidence Monday of a chemical weapons attack in Syria. But Russia and China would likely block any attempt by the U.S. and its allies to get the UN support.
Okay, so it seems the evidence is pretty clear that the Syrian regime used chemical weapons. unless you translate that evidence into Russian or Chinese, in which case it's a little murky. You know what? Here's the thing. Here's the strange thing is, just yesterday, I'm still preparing for the show, and I don't know whether to talk about the fact that we're going to war or that we're about to go to war. What's happening?
Well, I don't think it's a war so much as I'm against the whole idea of it because I don't think we're going to war. And to lob a couple cruise or Tomahawk missiles, it's never really worked in the past. It's you're making a little bit of a statement, but all it really does is piss people off. It's not going to affect the regime change.
Okay, wait, let me, and for anyone, I mean, since technically this show is for people that don't watch the news regularly, if you're somehow haven't even walked past the television, it has been, with the exception of the Russian and the Chinese and maybe Iran, it seems to be a consensus that the Syrian regime has used chemical weapons. Near Damascus, they said about 1,000 people have been killed. And so...
I thought it was just like in the hundreds.
Depends which. They said 1,400. Then I've heard hundreds. They're saying there have been about 1,000 killed. They don't know if they're all from, because there was shelling afterwards as well.
Right.
So
from the chemical weapons, I had heard it was just like 100 or maybe a couple
hundreds. And so now it seems, again, how many times can you cross a red line if it's actually a red line? So, do I hear music? Do we have music going right now?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Tony, is that your phone
Nope,
going?
that's not my phone.
It is nice.
I do hear
another
music,
phone?
but I don't have that on my phone.
I think that's outside. It might be in somebody's bag just outside the studio door there. Or something.
Nice.
That is fantastic. Well, we have theme music for
Excellent.
war. That's good.
I like.
Yeah.
Listen, I like to travel with my own theme music. Sometimes it's a full mariachi band.
So now, how much evidence, even no matter how much evidence we have, are we not the country that basically cried wolf at this point in time anyway? It's like we can show up with videotape of Assad, using chemical weapons, and Russia's not going to go, all right, well, we believe you now. It has nothing to do with whether they believe us anyway.
No, they're just against the action. But here's the problem. And this is the part that is really, I think, the biggest problem for our country is, okay, you're against what they're doing, but we don't like any of the options as far as who else is going to take over. So what are you going to do? You're going to knock him out of power and go, all right, who's in charge now? Yeah, no, we're against them.
Yeah, and so for that reason, they specifically said, hey, you know what? Our goal would not be regime change. That's not our goal.
Then why are you
reason.
Bombing? Just as a retaliatory thing?
I believe his words were, we want to
send a message.
Send a shot across Syria's bow, end quote. How does that pirate reference?
So we are
mean?
pirate. That's what I say. We're pirates.
Well, we need to do something.
That's the question. But here's the thing: is what
why
do you do? Well, why would be another question. All right, let's deal with that question first. Then Drew asks why. Why is and to clarify on that question, or at least to extend on that question. There's a lot of bad crap that happens all over the world. So Drew, I'm sure, is not all for gassing kids. Although
no,
if
I'm
anybody
mostly
is,
against it.
Yeah, if anybody is, it would be him. But he's mostly against it. However, there's bad stuff that happens that we can't do anything about all the time. Why do we have to go in here?
Yeah, we just can't bomb everybody.
So
lately we're coming close.
So why? So what do we do here? Or you say we have to do something? What do you do?
What do we do?
I mean, because here's the thing: is we can't bomb we're not even going to bomb the actual chemical sites because that's dangerous.
Yeah.
So we're going to bomb military stuff, certain military sites to weaken them. But we didn't. From what I understand, we're not arming the rebels anyway.
No, I had heard that we in fact did. Arms shipments did arrive.
Within the past 24 hours? Because 2 days
I
ago,
heard last night on the news they said that certain shipments had arrived. Now, whether that was confirmed or not, I don't know, but they did say that on the news yesterday.
What can Brown do for you? That's nice. They showed up on the
but
weekend.
But the thing is,
Monday,
they want to limit the scope and size of the weapons because if this all goes to crap afterwards, we don't want people that suddenly we're fighting against to have very advanced stuff. You know, that whole thing with like surface to air missiles. We didn't want to give them those because, well, then what if they want to shoot down our planes or civilian aircraft?
Yeah, we're going to have very little control over there as soon as whatever bombing we're going to do is done.
So, Tony, what I was asking you is when you say, well, we have to do something, I know it feels like we have to do something. But the deeper
but for
question
every
is
action
why.
is equal a greater reaction.
But why does that have to be
that's
from us? I mean, why are we the police of the world? Why do we have to be the ones?
Well, because we are the world. Well, we are the world
are.
power.
Yeah.
And that can be argued, but I'm saying if we declare, and we do often declare ourselves the world power.
I like to think of Guatemala.
Well, you are not that bright.
No.
But if we're going to act like a world power, if we're going to spend, how many times we've said this before, that we spend, like 30 times more than the next 10 militaries combined? Mm-hmm. So if we're going to do all that, who would be in a better position than us to do it if anyone can do anything?
Now, I'm not saying we can't. I'm saying, what are you accomplishing by it? Now, look, I would say if you're going to do anything, you establish the no-fly zone.
You establish a no-fly zone, but they're worried about, because now you're up against some country. You're up near Iran. We don't want people.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want guys there. That's close enough to boots on the ground. I think that we're not all that happy. It's not boots on the ground, but I don't think we want to be in that airspace because they already have some of that weaponry.
Yeah, I don't think air and boots on the ground are a good choice.
No, now I will say this.
What about Expendables 4?
That is probably coming up.
We'll send Harrison Ford in.
Yeah.
A Reuters poll just came out that said 25% of Americans, even if chemical weapons were used by the Assad regime, 25% of Americans think we should not intervene. I'm sorry, that we should intervene. 25%. 49.4% say no intervention. Because, again, this isn't even a good choice. Like, there's no... I would like to do something. Because, first of all, I wouldn't have ever said there's a red line. Don't say there's a red line if you're not prepared to do something.
It's that whole thing. Don't ever pull a gun unless you're prepared to use it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, or if somebody else has a hoodie on in front of you. However...
Different story.
Different story is correct. So I don't know, but what do you do in this situation? There is no easy answer. We want to do something, but we thought we had cover, and I would have thought we were going to bomb tomorrow because the Arab League then said, hey, it was Assad. They also said it was Assad's regime. Yeah. However, then they came right out afterwards and said, but we do not condone any sort of military strike.
Right. So all you're going to do is, if you start lobbing missiles, is piss off more people that are going to be like, well, let's attack American interests.
So, and are they not going to do that now? Do they not like us no matter what we do?
Okay, you can be disliked no matter what you do. But like Tony said, every action, there's a reaction. When you actually do something, I think that can be used as greater propaganda to mobilize to people to action. More so than are already ready.
Over 1,000 dead is the report I have here.
Wow. Yeah, we're not in the Stone Age anymore. I mean, we can't allow this stuff to go on. I mean, this is crazy.
Well, and
we're still genociding people?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is we say there's a red line, but in the other, and then we say, well, maybe you shouldn't say that. But the world in general said there should be no chemical weapons used. So if you then, same way
we just said blowing up every plant that has chemical weapons. If we can all agree that no one should have them or use them, then countries should be forced to eliminate them.
Yeah. The problem is there's an extra part of that sentence that most people believe. Nobody should have or use them except us. That's always wherever that person who's saying that is, that's what they believe. Right. Same thing with nukes. Nobody should have them, but we're not going to get rid of all of ours because then we're back on an even footing with everybody else. Mm-hmm. And that we don't want that either, or at least most people don't want that either. So I don't know what you do when there's no good options.
You know what? I'd like to ask Dwayne. And I have a feeling he's locked outside the studio door, and that's why the phones were going off.
Oh,
is there somebody who can open the door?
I will go.
Let me go check.
We'll let Dwayne in.
I like it. You know what? That was his punishment. Make him sit outside and listen to the show.
He was 1 or 2 minutes late. He's probably been standing out there. I could hear their voices, and her phone's locked in here. That was her phone going off.
Oh, really? That's very funny.
She went to get him and got locked out with him.
That is poorly done on her part.
I'm guessing. I'm just guessing.
Here's the thing.
Let's see if I'm
I
right.
hope he's here because otherwise you were going to be our specialist when we talk about Martin Luther King, and he's coming up.
I'm Sicilian.
Well, that's not that
I could
close.
be a specialist.
That's not that close.
There he is.
We'll take it. Come on in, guys.
Was I right? And that was her phone. She got locked out. She went out to get Dwayne,
That is
and
nice.
he's been out there the whole
We've been out
time.
there for a while. Sorry.
Nice.
That's what I thought.
Leave it to the blind guy to
figured
see
it
what's
out.
going on.
I could see what's
look
going
at you,
on.
dude. Brilliant.
Yeah.
You sent a text?
No.
Well, everybody's like, why
You
is he
can
got
text
the
in Braille? Is that
sunglasses
doable? That is nice.
Hey.
Dwayne Perkins is now with us. How are you, buddy? Welcome.
Dwayne, I called it, Dwayne. They were going to
guys.
leave you outside the rest of the show.
Thank you. I was just with Tony in Starbucks. Did you tell him?
He did.
Like, just up the
We
street.
just assumed that somewhere between Starbucks and here, you got into black guy time.
Yeah. So to be fair, this Mexican guy was backing up, and he took a long time. So I'm going to blame it on the Mexican.
You're
guy.
going to blame the Mexican guy was on black guy time? Blame the beaner. That is nice. Very, very nice. Well, the good news is within the time we haven't gone to war since we've been waiting for you. We were worried about that.
That's good.
See, we're discussing Syria, and what's your perspective? Because these guys, Tony says, well, with the chemical weapons, we have to do something, and I'm like, well, not necessarily.
What can you do when there's not a good option? The question really is, do you do something anyway?
Well, I guess it's like who's verifying that they use the chemical weapons? Like
that's no longer in doubt.
Okay.
Everyone is pretty well. No,
in 2003, it was no longer in doubt.
Right,
either.
right.
That's the problem. That's my thing with the country that cried wolf.
Okay, but even the UN inspectors, let's say,
who have not yet finished their report,
no,
and have been shot at.
Yes. Not a good job. I love how the UN inspectors are usually like unarmed. Yeah. It's like you're being asked to do the most heinous things, and it's like most dangerous, but it's like, no, just here's a flashlight and some, a hazmat suit.
I don't care what they pay. Yeah, I don't care what they pay. If they ask me to work for the UN, I'm like, I'm good.
It's also really hard to blend in that hazmat suit. It's like just look like one of the locals.
Now, but the other option is that we sit this one out, and some other people go in.
Now
that's what I'm saying.
But that's not going to happen. Even though France and England can't wait. They can't wait, and it seems classier when England bombs people than when we bomb people. But
only because they do it with a nice accent.
It is nice. But still, we spend so much more than anybody else on the military, and we like to refer to ourselves as, quote, the leaders of the world. If you sit out and say somebody else do it, then what's your justification for spending 300 times more than anybody else's military?
I feel like if Greg Popovich can sit Duncan and Ginobili and Tony Parker.
He got fined for that.
I know, but he did it, and I feel like let's get fined. Let's save up for the playoffs.
Save up for the playoffs is not a bad idea.
Yeah, we don't got to get into everything.
That's what I'm saying. I don't see. Here's the thing: if you had an achievable goal, like this is what this is going to accomplish. But no one is suggesting that.
Yeah, that's the reason why I think we haven't bombed anybody yet, is because what is the option? The option is we can't say regime change because we don't know who would take power. We can't bomb the actual chemical sites because that's going to cause some damage to everybody else around anyway. So we're going to bomb some military stuff, but not enough to cause regime change anyway. Right. So
now here's the thing.
What are you doing?
I don't know enough about chemical weapons to say, like, okay, what is the damage area? Like, let's say you were going to bomb it. Like, do you have to be 2 miles away, 10 miles away? Because then you could just like drop little leaflets and go, okay, you got 48 hours to get this far from that building.
Right, but Israel's right there, not too far. What does Israel want us to do? Like, are they? We should follow their lead. I imagine.
That is a good question. Israel.
Well, then we would just right and left start killing Arabs.
Israel is basically sitting there. Iran has said if we attack, if we bomb them, they're going after Israel. Syria said they'd go after Israel. Israel is saying as soon as anybody comes anywhere near us, we're bombing everybody. But
they said we're going to retaliate in like much more fierce way than you could possibly imagine.
Yeah, but I mean, Israel at this point in time, they're not going in because they would rather, they're not going in to save Syrian civilians at any point in time.
Well, the bigger question too, not the bigger question, but one question I guess is, what new weapons do we have that we haven't seen? Because that's what this is all about, right? Like showcasing all the new crazy gadgets. So I feel like it's like Windows. Don't release it until it's ready. Let's just sit this one out, and we'll show off our new weapons next year.
I will say that
the new I-bomb is that what we're waiting for?
Timing is everything.
We're not unleashing that on these guys. I can tell you that.
Right.
I think you're right. We would end up sitting that one out. All right, let's move on. We got no matter what action is taken in Syria, the U.S. is not expected to deploy its new 2 soldiers in 1 prototype, also known as the Bradley Chelsea Manning. Listen to this from CBS News.
One day after getting 35 years behind bars for leaking government secrets to WikiLeaks, Army Private Bradley Manning says he wants to spend the rest of his life as a woman. Manning is wearing a blonde wig and lipstick in this photo that was used in his defense. A witness said Manning emailed him the picture with a letter titled, quote, "My Problem." Thursday, Manning released a statement saying, "As I transition into this next phase of my life, I want everyone to know the real me. I am Chelsea Manning. I am a female. Given the way that I feel and have felt since childhood, I want to begin hormone therapy as soon as possible." The statement is signed Chelsea E. Manning. But the Army says it does not provide hormone treatment or sex reassignment surgery. A spokesperson at Fort Leavenworth Military Prison in Kansas, where Manning will serve his sentence, says Manning would have to request a transfer to a civilian prison in order to become a woman.
Now, I'm pretty sure in a civilian prison, they're going to turn him into a woman whether he wanted them to or not.
Yeah, his cellmate might do it, just for fun and a cleaner cell.
You may want to take the word therapy out of that. I'm not sure that's happening.
Well, the question too is, if he was in a regular jail, I've never been to jail. I don't know how it works. Do they?
You haven't been in L.A. long, apparently.
Yeah, right. Do they just? Do they just use your manhole for that, or do they also want you to have the goods? I
don't foresee prison rape being as a giving thing. I don't think there's a whole lot of what would please you. I don't think there's a lot.
I'm still not over manhole.
Are you a pitcher or a catcher?
Wait, there's got to be some tough catchers who's like, his eye's going to go down. I picked you to. Maybe not.
What did you see a picture? He is not a large, threatening-looking individual. So I think Chelsea is in his best interest.
Yeah, I don't think you get a choice anyway.
He is going to be. He was going to be Chelsea either way.
Yeah, he got to pick the name, but the sex was going to be changed.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, some people thought this was some kind of ploy, just timing-wise. According to his lawyer, he was saying he wanted to do this for a while, and they weren't going to say anything until a little while after. But a report was coming out that the military prison already said we're not going to pay for that. And once the report came out, they figured we might as well say.
Here's the part that bothers me is I'm shocked that civilian prison, I've never heard that they pay for it. When did that start?
I don't really think it's something that comes up all that often. Hey, I'm going to prison. I'd like to be a woman.
Who's they? Who's they? It's us.
That's taxpayers.
Right.
That's what I mean.
Us is they.
Yes.
Okay.
Depends how much trouble you get in, but yes.
But that, to me, is absurd.
It's medical. It's a medical.
Rehab.
It's a medical. In theory, it is a medical. Take out in theory. It is considered a medical condition.
I understand that.
Transgender, which until this I thought was just some kind of railroad. It is an actual. It is apparently when you feel like you are a different sex than what your body is. Different than being gay.
I'm familiar with what it is, but I just don't think that.
I just don't.
Why would we?
I respect that it exists.
Yes.
But it's sort of like you know how you watch America's Funniest Home Video and there's like a duck who acts like a dog or something like that. Like we're amused by it, but we don't like try to make that duck a dog. Like we just go, this duck has hung out with some dogs and that's what they do. But that's
right. You can be a duck hanging out with some dogs.
Right. But shouldn't you pay to be a duck hanging out with some dogs out of your own pocket?
The duck should pay. Yeah.
The worst Disney movie ever, by the way.
Howard the dog. No, but here's the problem. And I think we're not really addressing this part. Yes, everyone has certain rights and things like that. When you are convicted of a crime and go to jail, you do give up certain rights and certain...
You do. Some of the rights you do not give up, when at least in a civilian prison, is certain medical costs. And if it...
Certain.
Right.
Right.
And I will say this. If they said this person is schizophrenic, he needs to be on medication, they would give that person medication. If they say this person thinks he's Chelsea and looks at his penis and goes, I don't know what that's doing there, they may say he needs to be on some kind of medication.
Well here's the thing.
And so you're saying medication that makes his penis fall off.
Maybe.
Fall off or go away, or go inside.
But
I don't know where it
that's not what
goes.
gender reassignment surgery is.
No, it should only be infirmary. I mean, what is this?
He is not
surgeries.
No, but he's not. He didn't ask for a surgery.
But plus, even if he's going to pay for it, you're going to be in jail for 35 years. So, what are you going to do, Chelsea? Like, you're going to hit the town? Why now? Why not wait? Like, what's the rush?
You got nothing else to do. I got 35 years to get used to this shit.
If he's in prison, that thing is... First of all, it's not just going to happen once, because I got news for you. That thing is getting worn out.
Which one? His manhole? Are we back to manhole?
No,
the inverted sleeve thing. But the thing is, don't they have to put him in a prison with girls at that point?
Yeah, but none of this has happened. First of all, he hasn't yet asked for any sort of surgery yet. It would take a while for him to be on these drugs and feel better. Not everybody in it that has what they're saying he has condition-wise ends up getting surgery.
Look, if he just wants to live his life acting like a woman, like if he wants to wear a wig in prison and be called Chelsea, have at it.
Good luck with that.
But when When he says, if someone says that you want to live your life as a woman, and then you are saying you want the gender reassignment surgery.
No, not necessarily.
Well, I'm saying no. Maybe I'm not being clear. I'm saying it's one thing to say you just want to act like a woman, but if you want to really,
you can still get
woman,
hormone therapy and not eventually say I want the surgery. You can get that hormone therapy.
All that's going to do
and
is
be girlish
reduce body hair and grow breasts.
Okay,
because
it's still better looking than some women I've hooked up with in college.
What was Gacy? William Gacy, was that his name? The one who drew the clown pictures and had all the bodies.
Right.
He did that.
I didn't know that.
Right.
I don't know how that ties into this, but
let me ask you this. This is not. It's sort of on topic.
Oh,
I don't know. I don't have the
serial
internet up right now in front of me. But if you're born with a penis and then you cut it off, right, and whatever, do you?
They open up folds.
Do you get penis envy or you don't because you once had it? Like what? How does that work? Or is that never?
It's penis memory.
Interesting little side note. By the way, so let me throw this last thing at you. He has said he will pay for the actual therapy. But he will pay for it. Should he be able to get it? And he's not asking to be removed and sent to a women's prison. And that would be the worst Cinemax women's prison movie I've ever seen, ever.
I've seen some bad ones.
I thought you lose your rights. You're in prison. Don't you lose some rights and choices here?
I don't think you can get it. I think you just don't have that.
So this is one, and I, this is not a topic that we've had to think of until this. But you're saying this is something that. So you'll get some medical stuff, even if he's going to pay. Yeah. Don't let him.
No, I would disagree with that. I say let him. But the funny thing is,
but you got to move him. Then it's going to be a
he ain't getting a surgery. He's just getting the hormone stuff. So he's still going to be in prison.
You can't have someone in a male prison with boobs. I think that would be distracting.
He's going to be busy.
Right. I think that's a bit much.
I think that is a bit much.
But what
a rack on prisoner 75632.
But the prison musicals will be so much better. No, here's the funny thing is, if he has to get the medication himself, he's going to have to get it through the black market. If they don't allow it, and then that's going to be interesting because it may not do exactly you've ever gotten medications from Juarez. You don't know what it's going to do. So it's he could be like a prison panda. He may not turn into a woman. It's just going to be interesting to see what happens.
His medication gave me a vagina on my neck. Yeah, that's not good.
But I'm sure there's some guys in prison who want a lot of things. There's some guys who want to work for Google or something. they can't,
Exactly.
That doesn't necessarily fall under medical condition, but
if you really want to work for Google,
do we start humoring all of them? Is that what we do? Just go ahead, whatever you want.
Not the Google ones, apparently. Google won't have it.
Right.
Chelsea Manning is not the only leaker that the U.S. was concerned with. There's also Edward Snowden, who, unlike Manning, would like to keep both his freedom and his penis. Listen to this from Newsy.
German newspaper Der Spiegel reports the NSA hacked into the United Nations New York headquarters. According to the report, which is based on files leaked to the newspaper by NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden, the NSA broke the encryption of the UN's video conferencing network last summer and began collecting internal communications. The report says the NSA also bugged more than 80 embassies and consulates as part of a program called the Special Collection Service. The leaked documents indicate this initiative is intensive and well organized and has little or nothing to do with warding off terrorists. But one analyst told RT such behavior is nothing new and isn't specific to the U.S. either. All major powers dispose of large systems of cyber spying and they use it against each other. A writer for The Atlantic agrees. But we already know to an extent that everyone is spying on everyone at all times, even at G20 summits, so it shouldn't come as too much of a surprise. Spying on the UN is illegal under various international treaties.
Okay, so the U.S. is spying on the UN headquarters. Wouldn't it be easier, by the way, at this point, to just say that the NSA is spying on everyone and then occasionally leak someone they're not spying on? Wouldn't that just be easier?
Yeah, exactly.
Every week it's somebody new. And it started, by the way, I would like to say it did start with, no, it's just this.
Yeah.
And then every week it's all right, well, now we got to start telling you
You know
stuff.
what it's like? Do you remember the movie The Jerk with Steve Martin? All
Yeah.
I need is this chair.
Right.
This chair and this bottle.
It's just the nature of life. To me, it reminds me of baseball because everyone's juicing. And we just... we choose to pick on this guy, that guy, but everyone's juicing. It's just a fact. And then when baseball said, "Oh, let's clean it up. We're going to do a survey and just sort of see who's juicing. Nothing's going to happen. This is all anonymous kind of stuff." And then since that moment, every year a player gets leaked, that was juicing. So it's like not only is the fact that everyone's juicing, but it's like information gets leaked, and that's just
it's easider to find. Why don't you just look for the ones not doing it, because that's the much smaller number.
Right. And I don't know. I think I don't. That doesn't come as a surprise. Plus, with the UN, with the U.S. Excuse me, and the U.S. I don't know. I think we
lead the world in spying. Is that what you're saying?
I think we're like the big guy on the block, so we do things.
Right, but
we have all the high tech. Yeah, we have all the high tech stuff.
Well, now here's a crazy thing about that is that who loves this story?
China should be the one that actually.
That's the interesting
has
thing.
It.
When we apparently tapped into the UN video conference, China was already in on it.
Yeah,
they were already like, oh, you guys just figured this crap out.
Who do you think is
Except
making our spying equipment?
We thought everybody was watching.
What do you think? We called China and go, listen, why don't you make us and sell us this stuff, but we would prefer you don't read the manual.
Yeah. Right.
I think we should turn this whole thing into more like a game show. It's like, okay, this week, you know, who wins like that we're not spying on? Okay.
Right. And
Sam in Denver, you're our not spy guy for the week.
No, Sam in Denver's being watched. Don't kid yourself.
And as it relates to personal, like the UN, that's clearly bad, and I'm sure we're not the only country that does it. But I think when the whole thing with Snowden came out, people were up in arms, and it's like, what do you think Google does? And plus, most of my friends, they check in on Facebook wherever they are, so it's like they are doing it themselves. So it's
and when that report came out,
and Twitter,
we had read when that report came out, we had read on the air something from like 5 or 6 years. I think 2006 it came out. About the exact same leak.
Yeah, right.
Except nobody gave a crap then because it wasn't
wasn't
released as a leak. Right. But still, and this has been my problem with Snowden the whole time, is that some stuff that came out I think should have come out. However, at this point in time, it's just, hey, we're just going to keep trying to make you look bad in front of everybody. China's already doing it. We heard some of the other countries are like, well, yeah, everybody's spying on everybody. But when you go, oh, you guys are allies? Well, they're spying on you. They're spying on you. I mean, they already knew it, but now you just make them look bad, person after person after person. And then it's hard to go, oh, no, I'm just doing this for the country's own good.
Right.
That's hard to believe. Although he also just released, actually, he said he didn't release it, but another newspaper released that Britain has a Middle East base that is basically getting all the Middle East info from under the water, and they get everything from submarines and stuff like that as well.
Seriously, when it comes to all this leaks, we are like that abusive boyfriend. It's like, I only hit you because I love you.
Right.
You know, I only spy, but you know I care.
Okay, so if I've learned anything in this show, it's that Drew beats his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Or that's what I take away from this at this point in time.
Or like you're dating. Well, it seems weird. It seems like with all this data we're getting, we would be better suited. Like we would, like the Syria thing, all that stuff nothing would catch us off by surprise. We would know everything. You know, if you're gonna throw your muscle around,
get something
you can't throw your muscle around and have uncertainty. You know, it's like you said, if you're dating a girl whose ex-boyfriend says they're not broken up, you ever try that? That's really hard to do. Because he just keeps showing up, and you're like, dude, I think you guys are broken up. You know? and he's like, no, we're not. And then eventually you leave because you're like, this guy's crazy.
Right.
And they're not broken up. So
and I keep paying for an extra person at dinner.
And he talks to the movies. So the thing is,
we got some shoddy spying going on.
Yeah.
Right, because we're the ex-boyfriend. Like, we should just, I don't know, you can't move your weight around and then say, oh, we don't know what's happening. It's like, you got to pick one.
So you're saying we're spying, but we're not good at it? Is that what you're claiming?
Or we're not coming to the right conclusion, or we're letting a little bit of stuff go on, so, you know.
We can only do so much, and you're probably right, but on the other hand, if I was to take the other side of that, I would say, well, how do you have any idea what we have stopped? If we have stopped a bunch,
yeah, that's true.
There's no way you're going to stop everything.
Right.
But still,
it seems like we're not processing the data properly or doing the right.
Well, holy crap! Have you seen how much data it is?
You know, I was
that right there is a file.
When you just said about the United Nations and how many the figures were in my head, I was trying to do some.
Nobody believes you were doing math.
God.
Nobody here believes you were doing math.
When I saw you looking at your fingers, it's like, yeah, this is
1, 2, 3. I can get up to 10.
Right. Well, I had a buddy. This is post 9/11. I had two buddies. One was in England and one was here, and they were going back and forth. And one has they're both black guys. One has a somewhat of a Muslim type name. His name is Ali, and they would
somewhat.
Yeah, right. Like I said, completely right. Yeah, and they were joking about something, and like over text, and it was like it read like a joke, but I don't know if the word bomb or something. It was jokey, but something was said, and they both got text messages from Interpol like, hey,
chill out.
What's going on here?
Really?
Yeah.
They got a text response from Interpol.
Interpol. He showed me. It was like a real thing. So
no time to waste.
So I mean, I'm pretty sure like in Syria and these places they have code. It's like, hey, the cakes are in the oven, but still we should be able to.
Right. That's so funny though that you
can't figure out cakes.
Like, what if you actually were planning something? You think like you get a message. Oh. Wow, Interpol just sent me a text. We should stop
Let's
this.
stop it. Yeah, right.
I got a tweet, and
we'll take care of this right now.
Yeah. Right, but what do they pick? What do they choose? Because they could have done a search on these guys. And, these are both stand-up comics, like their names and everything. Like it would have been. But instead, they
went, you're a little bomby right now.
Right. Yeah. You're a little bomby.
Why don't you back off? So before, by the way, and this just came out before Snowden ended up going, because remember when he showed up in Russia, Putin was like, you know what? This is a surprise to us. We didn't see this coming. Apparently, he went when he was in Hong Kong 2 days before he left. He went to the Russian consulate and said, "Hey, here's a ticket I already have. I'm going to fly from here to Russia, from Russia to Cuba, and then I'll go to some other place from there." And so they knew he was coming. He went to Russia, and then Cuba, who apparently doesn't like us all that much, still got pressured by us to tell Russia, "Hey, we're not letting that plane land."
Wow.
Which is bizarre that we have that kind of pull over Cuba, considering they don't seem to like us.
How do you
all that
not
much.
let a plane land? Well, what is that? What do you have?
You just
shoot
say,
it, or?
you say we refuse to let you into our airspace.
Did you hear the story when he was still in Russia and they thought he flew?
Thought he was on.
Yeah, they thought he was on a plane with the president of, what was it, Bolivia?
Colombia?
It might have been Bolivia, I think. And that guy was on the plane, gone on his private plane. And the U.S. had Italy, France, and a few other countries close off their airspace.
Wow.
He had to circle around and land in a different country. Couldn't get back home.
Wow.
They were not happy.
They wanted to search the plane.
Yeah, they were not happy.
Crazy.
They were Snowden free.
I mean, here's the thing. Yes, we can exert influence, even over Cuba, because as much as we have embargoes and things like that, there's still money and other things being traded.
A prison. We have a prison there. Isn't that strange? We don't speak to the island. We have no actual relationship with that government, but we do have a prison there.
I think on the surface, we don't have a relationship. I don't believe for a second that we don't. That we're not talking to them, and there's constant.
There's obviously some kind of talking because they refused the flight. That surprised me more than anything else. Not that Russia knew about it. Like, I don't think for a second that what Snowden had didn't get somehow looked at or taken from somebody. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't care even if he didn't give it to him.
Right.
You really think these guys, China and Russia, are going, "Oh, okay, we'll just let him sit there. He's got it on a memory stick. That's his." Like, what are you kidding me? There's no way.
Yeah, they'll abuse their own citizens, but that guy, leave him alone.
All right, I want to remind you listen to the Wrap Up with Ken August live every Wednesday, 10 o'clock Eastern Time at the Joint Studios, and listen to any episode whenever you want by subscribing free at the iTunes Store or find us on SoundCloud. Today, and I am glad you made it, because today is the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington. Most of us here were obviously not alive at the time, and Drew would have gone, but he doesn't like walking that much, from what I understand. He would have gone if it was a cab ride to Washington. He would have done it.
And it has nothing to do with it. It was a bunch of black people.
Right.
Before we talk about this, I want to listen a little bit to the great Martin Luther King Jr. speaking 50 years ago today.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream.
One of the greatest speeches of all time, I would say. Probably better, and this is, you're Italian, tell me if I'm better than the speech at the end of Rocky IV, you think?
That's a tough one right there.
That we're talking Rocky taking on the Cold War. By
I
the
think
way.
better
I'm
than
a
that,
Rocky
but
fan.
honestly, not as good as the end of Independence Day.
Oh yeah, no, we will not go quietly into that. Good
No,
night.
right.
That is-
I wept a little. At
That was some
one.
motivational shit. Yes.
Yeah.
No, this is, by the way, hard to get anything other than just clips of that speech.
Interesting. That like
The
you
whole-
can't get the whole.
It's tough to find. I don't know whether it's. I believe, from what I understand, the taping, the actual original reels, were given back to his family. But I don't know. I don't know how that plays a role in it, or if it does at all. But 50th anniversary of the march today. Actually, today. I didn't get a chance because I was on my way here. I didn't get a chance to see the president speaking in the same spot, which is phenomenal. I don't know if any of you guys got a
I
chance
saw
to watch
clips
it.
of it.
Yeah, I haven't. I've been driving around L.A. all day today. I told Tony just
Just not getting here.
from like yeah, exactly.
Literally driving around L.A. the whole time.
Not walking.
Well, I mean, it's good. I guess because it's.
Bet you if you had marched, you'd have made it.
I know, right? I was dreaming at the Starbucks.
That's hilarious.
He has a dream.
Now, Stephen Colbert likes to say, jokingly says all the time, he doesn't see race. Which, by the way, Tony, I'm assuming you don't see race because you're blind as a bat.
You know what? You know what's funny? I didn't know Dwayne was black till you guys said something today.
Were you
We've been
wondering-
hanging out for a long time.
Were you wondering why you kept getting pulled over for no reason on the way here?
Right.
I was actually going to tell you, I didn't want to disappoint you, but that's actually that's not Dwayne Perkins.
And I don't want to upset you guys, but I was the one driving today. Just
Very
letting you know
nice.
Well, congratulations on making it then. Let me say that at least.
I did leave you 4 parking spots.
I took all of them, and the lawn.
And the homeless guy from the corner. He's mostly there. I was reading up on the march for the original march, not this one. And obviously there was a couple of interesting things that I did not know about it. Kennedy was originally against it because he thought it was going to swing people to vote against the Civil Rights Act. But once he realized it was going to happen, he was apparently all behind it. Malcolm X called it the farce on Washington. Apparently, he felt it looked all way too peaceful than what it should have been. And John Lewis, who was there 50 years ago, spoke today, which that had to be
Yeah, he's the only surviving member that spoke.
that surviving member who actually spoke. You're saying?
Yeah.
Who spoke then and spoke
Yes.
then? No.
Yeah, he
Oh,
was
wow.
the only surviving person.
I mean, that's got to be an unbelievable experience.
Well, I saw the clip from him, and he had an interesting point. He's like, look, there's still things to be done. But he said he hears people say, like, nothing's changed. He's like, I grew up on a cotton farm in Alabama, and now I'm a congressman. So maybe you want to try walking a mile in my shoes. So, yeah, I mean, things have changed.
Things
Doesn't
have changed.
mean that
it's not
it's
perfect.
over.
But when you were at Pinkberry and
I don't even know where this is going, and I already like it.
when you're at Pinkberry and you're picking your toppings, just know that's changed. Like that's especially as a black person, you're in a Pinkberry and you're like, should I get the gummy bears or should I get should I get almonds? Like that's changed. Like that's it doesn't come out in all these sort of like it's not always so heavy-handed. It's just
subtle.
its ability to maneuver.
Nobody tells you can't have the white chocolate chips.
Right,
That's
right,
nice.
exactly.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's great that the nation's first black president stood at the same spot where Dr. King spoke 50 years ago. But if he was in Texas today, they would still try to stop him from voting. Listen to this from Newsy.
The fight over Texas's strict voting laws heated up Thursday when the Justice Department filed paperwork to get involved in the legal battle. The DOJ is filing one lawsuit and joining another, asking Texas courts to put the state back under pre-clearance, the requirement to get federal approval for changes to voting laws. Earlier this summer, the Supreme Court struck down Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act, the section requiring districts with a history of discrimination to get pre-clearance. But Attorney General Eric Holder is arguing Texas can still be put under pre-clearance using other sections of the Voting Rights Act. In a statement Thursday, Holder said, "We will not allow the Supreme Court's recent decision to be interpreted as open season for states to pursue measures that suppress voting rights." There are two laws the DOJ is taking issue with. Texas's voter ID law and its redistricting law. The voter ID law will require Texas voters to show a photo ID at the polls, which the department says will disproportionately affect poor and minority voters. And the redistricting law carves up the state's congressional districts in such a way that poor and minority voters are outnumbered in nearly every district. But to reinstate preclearance, the DOJ has to show those laws won't just have the effect of disenfranchising minorities, they were meant to disenfranchise minorities. As for the redistricting law, the state has an interesting defense. In a brief filed with the court earlier this month, state officials say the redistricting wasn't racist, it was partisan and was designed to increase the Republican Party's electoral prospects at the expense of the Democrats, not at the expense of minorities.
So yes, we're screwing you over, but not for the reason you think.
Right.
Not just with the blacks. You know?
Right.
We don't like any of you.
Can somebody give me that in Brooklynese? I'm a little confused.
I'm from Brooklyn. I'll try. I guess for some reason, a lot of brothers don't have ID. And secondly, when you vote for your congressman or whatever, the districts are just being redrawn. So that way, more Republicans will win.
Yeah, they basically took the map and they said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to separate the map into districts. So for local elections, every district, the way we draw the map, every district should have more Republicans than Democrats. And we'll break the map down that way. And when they did that, the federal government and the courts went, you can't do that. And you can't add all these extra IDs that a lot of people don't have. And the people that don't have them are the poor, minorities generally.
Yeah, so like the redistricting, you could have, say, a township that was primarily black. And, an area that has several of those. And they're like, no, we're going to change the line, so we're going to add a bunch of white towns to that.
Just enough to outnumber you. Or we'll split it up, so we'll put, this black neighborhood in this district and this black neighborhood in this district. So it splits it up, and you guys can't actually win any of your local votes.
I really do think it is a partisan thing, but I think that...
We're slanting the election.
Yeah. But
I mean, come on.
That's why they had to make laws.
That was waived off. The government, the courts literally said that will specifically disenfranchise a lot of voters, and specifically minorities and poor people.
Right.
So they waived it off. Then they got rid of the Voting Rights Act, or the part of the Voting Rights Act that
said... Supreme Court.
Right. The Supreme Court said, you know what? We're not getting rid of the Voting Rights Act, but what you use to determine which states have to get clearance before they change stuff, that's kind of outdated. So they waived all that off.
And then the next day, Texas, passed legislation.
They didn't pass it. They said the ones that just got waived off, now we're going to use it. The ones that were said to be racist, basically, we're going to use that because the Voting Rights Act was waived off. So they put that into effect, and it's now basically... the Department of Justice has to go state by state and say, okay, this is bad, that's bad, and they have to do that, which is what they're doing to their defense. It's great to see that they're doing it. North Carolina's doing the same thing. And here's the thing is, as far as it being partisan, I agree with you, because they're not only doing that, in North Carolina, they're getting rid of student IDs, can't use student IDs, because basically college students generally vote Democratic in higher numbers. Right. They're getting rid of some of the polling places on campus. And in some places, they're trying to completely eliminate you being allowed, if you live in a different state, to vote.
They also got rid of early voting.
Yeah, no early voting, because that's
and they won't let the polls, because typically poor people work longer hours, in lower paying jobs, or they have two jobs.
Right.
So they don't want the polls to stay open later, and they don't allow people to come before work and vote. So it's just all these little things that will just make it difficult to impossible for a lot of these people to get in and vote.
It's like baseball again. If the umpire is calling a little bit off the plate a strike, that pitcher will look like a Cy Young Award winner. He's unhittable. But if an inch off the plate is not a strike, then they'll get him.
Then he's a Met.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So these measures are just going to do just enough to sometimes tilt the election, and
that is literally, that's the problem. That is literally the whole point, and that's why that clip, by the way, went longer than most of the other clips. Is because the other stuff was important, but that last explanation for no, we are doing something that seems like it's really against what our founding fathers would want: more people voting. Instead, we're going to limit that, but we're only doing it because we want to win the election.
Right, which is crazy. Well, I think that's two things. One, that's the beauty of Martin Luther King is, that charismatic person who can put things in a sort of plain English where everyone understands it, and he can get people who are sort of start off being against him to be for him, but with sort of just appealing to their better side. Just sort of like instead of being aggressive, just being passive and getting them to see. That's like a special skill,
Absolutely.
And I think some people have to get like some people who maybe like more people will become poor, because I always, not to get economical. I know everyone here, I don't know everyone's political leanings, but I do think that if the middle class is going to erode, if that's happening, and if it's going to continue to happen,
already happening,
yeah.
right? Then I think some people really are going to have to feel it before they. Like
people don't act until it affects them. Quite honestly.
Yeah. And some people who were middle class are gonna have to feel it before they say, "Wait, I'm not even middle class anymore. Why am I still behaving in a way that's counter to me?"
But the right, typically, it's amazing, and we've talked about it on the show. It's like they have that ability to get people who are
to vote against
not
their own
that
interest.
smart. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's mostly fear based. All right, let's get the headlines.
Extra, extra, read all about it. Extra, 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 read all about it.
That kid's 175 years old right now. We got headlines somewhere around here? Holy crap. What we got, about 10 minutes, 9 minutes?
We got about 9.
Oh, man, that's fantastic. The NFL Players Association has filed a grievance against the NFL, claiming the league owes one of their players $82,000 for attending off-season workouts up until he was suspected of murdering someone. Yes, former Patriots star Aaron Hernandez may have killed someone, but he did go to practice. He's also the new tight end of my all-prison team. Ray Caruth, Aaron Hernandez, I got OJ, Dave Meggett. Occasionally,
that's pretty solid.
Occasionally, LT makes an appearance.
Right, LT, yeah.
Is Ryan Leaf your quarterback?
No.
I think you forfeit your pay once you kill somebody.
Yeah, that seems like a fair.
I mean, they have stuff in their contract like they have to be certain role models, kinds of things. Is killing people
but if
not
he
qualified?
did it already, like if you worked at McDonald's, right, and like you worked up till Friday, and then you
killed
someone on Saturday, and then you were like had a trial and everything, you can go that next Thursday to McDonald's and pick up your check.
You get promoted.
No, that is a valid point. He did. It was pre-murder. His defense is, hey, you guys owe me money because this was before I murdered somebody.
Yeah.
That is nice. Plus, he wants sexual...
Murder did not affect my performance.
And when he's in prison, he wants sex reassignment surgery, I believe.
Oh, right.
No, maybe not. Fort Hood shooter Major Hassan, representing himself, has rested the sentencing phase of his trial without saying a word in his own defense. I guess when there are multiple eyewitnesses and you were actually shot and paralyzed while in the act of the crime and you admitted to doing it, there's probably not a lot you can say in the last day of the trial that's going to make you look good. He's waiting to find out if he gets life in prison or the death penalty. No need for the death penalty. I think we should just exile him to Syria tomorrow.
He wanted the death penalty, though, because he wants to be a martyr.
Send him to Syria.
Right. I think we should give him sexual reassignment surgery.
I like that. Let's transgender him.
Send him to a jail.
I'll feel
And
better
then put him in a male's prison.
Yeah, I'll feel better about my taxpayer dollars going for surgery.
Enjoy your manhole.
Used and abused. And
Take
like
this,
hell.
man. You've got a vagina now.
Yeah. Speaking of that, if harassing a female coworker is wrong, then San Diego Mayor Bob Filner doesn't want to be right. Mayor McCheesedick resigned on Friday, just a few days before a 19th woman accused him of harassment. At 70 years old, Filner's career in politics may be done, but he should be a great spokesman for Cialis. The city council agreed to pay his legal fees, and Filner agreed to resign and to take his hand off the city councilwoman's tit when she gave him the news. Seems fair. Former Los Angeles Clipper Lamar Odom was 74th in the league last year in rebounds, but he was number 1 in smoking crack. Odom is not using the fact that he's married to a Kardashian as an excuse for his drug use, but I would. He's married to the Kardashian who looks like someone smashed the other 2 Kardashians together. I don't know which one that is, but
No, he's just married to the bigger one, the one who does the fighting. That's all.
I must be one of the few people on the planet that I wouldn't know a Kardashian if they were like standing next to me. I don't know who they are.
Well, look to your left. Have you met Tony Kardashian?
Nice.
Nice.
So he's admitted to the heavy drug use?
I don't think he's admitted to anything because he's on crack. But apparently, that's, let me phrase that. should I? Let me go back and go allegedly on crack. However,
that's tough.
However, his family and I mean, it's report after report. I mean, they're saying it's going back when he was, with Dallas. When he left the Lakers, they're saying, and his camp is going, no, but he was good during the season. You're like, yeah, I'm sure most crack addicts can control it.
That really puts an end to that whole theory of black don't crack.
Right. Well, sometimes.
Thank you. Good night.
Sometimes it does. Yeah.
Some people said, maybe he's using it to get back into shape, like lose all that extra tooth weight, perhaps. I guess. Reality TV star and millionaire ferret Donald Trump is being sued by New York's Attorney General for $40 million. Eric Schneiderman is alleging the real estate mogul helped run a phony Trump university that promised to make students rich, but instead steered them into expensive and mostly useless seminars. Lesson number 1, kids, don't pay $35,000 for a university that's not a real university. Students thought they would at least get to meet Trump, but instead all they got was their picture taken in front of a life-size picture of the Apprentice star. Nice.
It's like a wax museum is what they got, basically.
You know what? I'm sorry. Those people deserve to get ripped off. I will not coddle the stupid that way.
Yeah,
if you went to Donald Trump University, that's like going to clown college, but worse. It's like
racist clown college.
If you go to clown college, you at least you get the nose and the feet.
That's nice. There's people dying in Syria, chaos in Egypt, and the people in the United States are freaking out about Ben Affleck playing Batman. An online petition called on the studio to cast somebody else and has picked up more than 77,000 signatures, proving that people are weird. They're not casting Ben Affleck to be actual Batman, people. He's just going to be faking it. Everybody relax. That being said, what do you guys think about Ben Affleck as Batman?
It could go either way. I mean, he's done some good movies lately, right?
I have no problem with it.
I think we need Owen Wilson as Batman. What do you think?
That'd be great. Well, I think
Jonah Hill.
On the 50th anniversary of Martin Luther King, I propose a black Batman. So and me.
Is he not going to be late to the crime? Is that not going to help? Like, well, she's dead, but I can clean up.
Right.
I'd rather see you as the Riddler, man.
I could be the Riddler, yeah. I'm fine with it. I don't...
You're too funny to be Batman.
Who's this guy who started a petition? Like, who's that guy?
Yeah, that's the thing, is how much time do you have on your hands to be like, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, but I got to tackle this Affleck issue.
A petition?
I don't have a problem with him being Batman. When you think about it...
If the material's good, he's going to be fine.
Yes. I mean, when you think about it, everybody loved Christian Bale as Batman, for the most part. I mean, there were very few that... after the performance. But if you look at it, there's very little that he's doing when he's not behind the mask.
Yeah.
So who cares?
It doesn't even matter. It's sort of you talk to the butler for a few minutes,
right?
And then you get into the
then you whip out some cool stuff, and exactly.
I say we bring Michael Keaton back with his walker.
I like that. The problem is it's too soon after the most recent Batman.
I don't even know why they're making it. Yeah, that's
the thing. It's too soon. I mean, you just had the most successful Batman character in history, and you're replacing him with the guy from Geely immediately.
Yes,
that's
but
tough.
You're also capitalizing. I mean, they wanted Batman and Superman together, which I got no problem with. Let's do it.
I look forward to seeing it. Yeah,
in the same movie.
Yeah.
They're going to be battling each other. That is
Batman
why.
doesn't have real powers, though.
No, so he shouldn't win.
I thought
but
they
I
worked
get the
together.
feeling he's going to die.
Someone told me it's not Batman against Superman.
It is temporarily, from what I understand.
In the very beginning, then they're going to kiss and make up.
They'll party.
It'll be Batman and Chelsea.
There are a lot of award shows out there these days, but the best award show to watch if you want to see someone get dry humped on stage is the MTV Video Music Awards. And apparently this year was Miley Cyrus's turn. She came out with a flesh-colored bikini and rubbed up against Robin Thicke and wagged her tongue around like Scooby-Doo in a haunted kitchen. Well, it turns out the Parents Television Council doesn't like Hannah Montana getting dry humped on TV, and they condemned everybody. Like Oprah, you're condemned. You're condemned.
You get a condemnation. You get a condemnation.
Interesting note, Miley's dad, Billy Ray Cyrus, is actually on the Parents Television Council Advisory Board, although I doubt they take his advice too seriously. The obvious winner here, I would assume, is Miley Cyrus, since I didn't think I'd be talking about her, unless...
That's what it was all about, just...
Oh, yeah. She said something. Her first tweet was something about 360,000 in 1 minute. The blackout didn't even have that, was her comment or something. It's like, that's what she was going for. And I think she was telling everybody, hey, I'm available. I want some good scripts. I'm a whore, and that's what I want.
Well, we got about a minute?
Less than that, about 45.
All right, Tony, what do you got coming up, buddy?
Coming up, well, my show's doing real good on iTunes there, live and on board with Tony Milazzo. We're out at sea. Yeah, I brought Dwayne out. Dwayne came out with the blind guy out at sea.
Someone's got to drive
It's a smart show, isn't it?
Nice.
Yes. Blind guy, you're out at sea with him. Sometimes you come back, sometimes you don't. And I've got those Rat Pack comedy shows. I mean, just check me out on Facebook. Check me out at TonyMilazzo.com.
This wasn't 45 seconds for you.
Right.
Dwayne, what do you got, buddy?
My book, Hot Chocolate. My book, Hot Chocolate for the Mind, available on Amazon. Hot Chocolate for the Mind.
Perfect.
Check out Bad Advice right here on the studio.
Holy crap. Thank you very much for listening to the Wrap Up with Ken August. Now we will leave you with Tony finishing whatever the hell it was he was just saying.
That's it. Check me out, TonyMilazzo.com. Live and on board. Tony Milazzo. It's all about Tony Milazzo.